Altcoins are about to move like never seen before. Hey guys, Sheldon here, welcome back. Or if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on all of those bell notifications. As you know, it really does help the channel grow. And if you find any of this content useful, please give the video a thumbs up too. Right, so just as I said, we are expecting a large movement from some of our favorite altcoins in May, and we have some on-chain metrics and some news to back this up as well. So we'll look into that, as well as some altcoin news and some speculative news on Ethereum and Bitcoin later in the video too. Right, so just as I said, we have been seeing very strong moves from alts already. We've seen Ethereum basically blast past its previous all-time high into the new one at close to $3,600. Our favorite friend, Dogecoin, still rallying up 100% in the past 7 days, and this is leading up to obviously the Elon Musk SNL skit, which we'll talk about in a second as well. And my favorite stablecoin, Cardano, is up to $1.73 after ranging around the $1.2 to $1.3 level for a little while. Now, many of this is due to obviously a lot of new market interest, as well as some fundamental news backing this up as well. So we'll look into that in a second. First, I just want to cover the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. So you guys would have remembered from a few videos back that I said if Ethereum did continue rallying up, we might see some support or resistance at this previous line from 2018, from the previous bull market, or after we entered into the bear market at least. This was a resistance level. And if we can flip this into a support level, I do believe we'll see a stronger move from Ethereum against Bitcoin coming up. Now, this maybe supports the narrative that Ethereum could perhaps create the flippening, in which case Ethereum would grow larger than Bitcoin. Perhaps that would make Bitcoin an altcoin at that point. I'm unsure whether that would happen in this bull market, but it is a possibility, as I've mentioned in previous videos, for the use case for Ethereum. We've seen much of the news around Ethereum and the use case for Ethereum supporting this as well. Ethereum does have a larger market to capture than Bitcoin, with Bitcoin serving the narrative just as gold or digital gold. Ethereum has a lot more to offer than just that. So I do believe we could see a potential flippening, which would be insane, and that would throw the market into hysteria. So let's look at what is happening with altcoins and why there is a potential huge rally ahead of us. The altcoin market cap has flipped its previous cycle high to support, and the last time that happened, it gained 27,500% in a year. Now, this is from Rect Capital on Twitter. He essentially said that the last time this happened in late 2013, it flipped the resistance to a new floor, and it launched the market cap to a peak no less than 27,500% above it. And how much would that be if the altcoin market did continue rallying that same amount that it did back in 2017? We would have an altcoin market cap of $152.6 trillion, which is crazy to think about considering our current market cap is $2.6 trillion for the entire crypto market. This is potentially saying that we could see $150 trillion market cap for just altcoins, which in a very bullish case, in an ideal world, is quite possible. I do believe this is possible in the coming years, maybe in an additional bull market. It depends on whether we see this bull market as a super cycle or it simply continues to grow into an additional bull market and we don't see a bear market. Now, of course, there's alternating opinions between whether we're going to see a super cycle or not, and it's really difficult for us to predict this. So at this point, most of it is just opinion-based, and that is the case with a lot of the cryptocurrencies and altcoins, that a lot of it is based on opinion, and a lot of it is based on hype. And when we see these huge gains, generally it's because we're in a bubble, right? You should not forget that we are currently in a bubble. We're in a bull market, we're in a hype cycle. So these gains aren't necessarily always backed by fundamental news. So the potential downside, the potential risk is maximized, but so is the gains. And we can see this from Dogecoin. Now, I'm not going to be an old grandpa hating on Dogecoin. I don't actually hate on Dogecoin. I think it's potential for a lot of people to make a lot of money and have made a lot of money. So I don't discount that at all for the people who have already made gains. But in terms from a risk to reward perspective, the risk factor here is multiplied astronomically compared to the reward. When we see these huge gains from an altcoin like Doge, where it rallied from just 6 cents or 5 cents back in March to over 66 cents in May, that is an insane gain. So your potential growth from here is minimized. You're at a $78 billion market cap. It's getting ready to overtake Ethereum, getting ready to overtake BNB, purely based on speculation and hype. The main thing driving this is the news. Elon Musk talking about it, potential. Elon Musk, the Doge father, going to be talking about it on Saturday Night Live. Remember, these are just news events. They're not fundamental changes to the cryptocurrency. There's nothing that's driving the mass adoption of this. It's purely hype and speculation spreading on social media, spreading on news. Nothing from a fundamental level has changed. So this hype or this growth, while fantastic and while people have made some insane gains, and congratulations to them again, there is a huge, huge risk factor here. There are people sitting on millions of dollars of profit, people who have never seen this kind of money before in their life that could potentially lose it if they don't start taking profits. And that's why I always say, remember to take profits, guys. You're not a genius in this market. It's a bull market. Everyone can win, but take profits along the way and minimize that downside risk. Now, of course, we've got Elon Musk talking about the Doge market maker, and the meme currency pumps as the SNL skit looms. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? There's this potential that Elon Musk is going to talk about Doge on Saturday Night Live. Now, this could go either way, right? Perhaps Elon Musk comes out and says that Doge is terrible and it's a horrible cryptocurrency, and that could potentially crash Doge to the floor, because at this point, he is the Doge father. He's the one controlling this hype and driving this adoption of the Doge cryptocurrency. Or he could come out and say that it's going to be the world's reserve currency and he's going to start using it as payment, or start accepting payment in Doge for Teslas or something like that. We don't know which way this goes. And the risk here is that this entire growth of Doge, this huge $78 billion cryptocurrency, basically hinges on the opinion of one person. And that is a very dangerous position to be in. This is a very dangerous position to hold, because not only is the financial well-being of your portfolio held in one person's hand, but that person could also swing either way. And while we do like Elon Musk, I am quite a fan of Elon Musk, I don't believe that he is truly understanding what he's doing with the market and how he's moving this in a way. Or maybe he does. Maybe he knows way better than us. Of course, I can't comment on that. But what I'm saying is, be careful. Be aware of what is happening in the market so that you understand what's happening with your investments and you don't get absolutely wrecked. So let's move into some news from our altcoins. So we've got some favorite of the channel, shopping.io. Huge news coming up for them this month. Shopping.io 2.0 is coming out. Now, as you guys know, I have been quite critical of their website. They are a fantastic platform and they do work really well. I've ordered many things from them. I've spoken about this before. I am quite a fan of the product, but their website does need an upgrade. Their website has been lacking in terms of the tech behind the scenes. The front end just doesn't match it. Their marketing is on point, but they needed an upgrade. And that is what shopping.io 2.0 is coming out with. They do have the business side of things as well. They've implemented a business package, as far as I understand, for dropshippers to come into the platform and start trading with that, which is fantastic as well. I've spoken about this before as to how big the dropshipping market is. Whether you agree with dropshipping or not, there's a ton of money there that can move into the market. They've also got a major partnership coming up. Not sure who this is with, some major company in the crypto market under NDA. They've got a Doge car auction. So I suppose they're also capitalizing on the Doge movement right now, capitalizing on that hype. This is why I said their marketing team is insane. They're really, really good, because they're capitalizing on this hype and they're going to be auctioning off a car with Doge, which is crazy, as well as adding cars for purchase with cryptocurrency for the EU customers, as far as I know. GSPI staking on KuCoin, GSPI staking on their own platform, which is the SPI Club, and SPI staking as well. So you can pay for Doge on shopping.io, pay with Doge and get a 2% discount over the next 2 weeks. Tons of updates from shopping.io. Keep an eye on these guys. They know what they're doing and they know how to market. So good news from them. Then we have Fale Network, also a very strong favorite of the channel, very strong part in my portfolio. I spoke about Fale back in January and in this December, one of my favorite Polkadot projects. Now you guys know that I'm not sort of dedicated to any blockchain whatsoever. Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum, I do not care which one succeeds, because it doesn't matter in the end. Each chain is going to have its own ecosystem of dexes and launch pads and privacy coins and so on, and they're all going to be interconnected with one another and interoperable with one another. So it doesn't matter to me which one succeeds or which one is the best in the end. All that matters is that they all exist and interoperate, because that is where the future of blockchain comes from, right? It's the same as the way the internet grew. It doesn't matter which ISP you're on, it doesn't matter which website you're on, they're all interconnected. You're using email, you're using your browser, using all of these things, and they all use the underlying platform, which is the internet, and they all work with one another. That is exactly what blockchain is doing, and that is why I'm a fan of Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum, all of them, diversify your portfolio, put money into each of them. You don't have to be a tribalist. You don't have to stick to one. Go out there, diversify, and you'll both maximize your gain and minimize your risk by diversifying your portfolio. So you guys would have known that they actually won the parachain slot auction on the Polkadot testnet. They are now looking to get another crowd loan up, and this is to participate in the upcoming parachain auction. So Kusama has, of course, limited parachains. Kusama is sort of the sandbox testnet version of Polkadot, not necessarily a testnet, but more of the Wild West version of Polkadot. Allows you to play and break things and use it as a way to then solidify a slot, perhaps in Polkadot's main chain. And that is one of the advantages for Polkadot, of course, and the narrative to increase the value of Polkadot and Kusama as a token, because it requires other chains and those looking to build on Kusama and Polkadot to secure these parachains, and they have to do that by purchasing Kusama and Polkadot. And it's very expensive to do this, so that's why they are doing this crowd loan. And in doing so, you do have some rewards that you can get from this, 100 Fale as rewards if Kala does win the slot auction. So go check this out if you want to participate. Maybe you can get some Fale rewards as well. Now, Fale has been a channel favorite for a while. They've grown astronomically since I first mentioned them. We spoke about them back in January, just at 10 or 12 cents. Currently sitting at 85 cents with a peak over $1 as far as I know. Yep, that's correct. $1.03, which is crazy. Insane growth from Fale. Privacy on the Polkadot network, privacy for basically inter-network privacy for institutions and enterprises. Fantastic product. I do believe in privacy very strongly, as you guys know, and that's why I talk about this quite often. Then we have some news from Coinbase. Coinbase stocks plunged to record low, furthering decoupling from crypto. Now, you guys know how I feel about this. I think this is fantastic that we are having these cryptocurrency companies listing on traditional stock exchanges. This is not only good for the attention of the market, the same as Doge, right? There's this attention that is drawing from the mass public for mass adoptions, bringing a ton of eyes to cryptocurrency. But it could cripple it as well, because we could see Doge potentially bringing a ton of new investors in, getting wrecked and scaring them away forever, or further producing the narrative that cryptocurrency is a scam because people lose money in it. So there's a downside and an upside to all of this. Now, of course, the same could happen with Coinbase, with the valuation dropping quite a lot, maybe almost 50% down from its initial $100 billion top on listing. So that is quite a drop. But the thing with this, right, is the reason that I haven't purchased any Coinbase stock, and I don't intend to do this either, is if you want to diversify your portfolio, right? I see many people trying to diversify and they're like, cool, I can get into stocks as well and still be somehow connected to crypto with Coinbase. Why would you want additional exposure to the cryptocurrency market for something that is based on a centralized entity? Coinbase is a centralized exchange. I have no intention of buying Coinbase stock because I don't want to be even further exposed to cryptocurrency with a higher risk factor. I'm now exposed to crypto because Coinbase is essentially reliant on the market cap of crypto. It's reliant on the adoption of crypto, of Bitcoin, and so on. That is where the valuation would come from how many people are using the platform, what their profits are. So in doing that, I would then increase my exposure to the market, to the cryptocurrency market, indirectly by buying Coinbase stock, and potentially even losing money because we don't know where this would go and what could happen internally because it's a centralized entity. At least if I'm betting on Bitcoin, if I'm betting on Ethereum, I know that I'm betting on the decentralized future. I know what I'm getting into, and I know I've been here for a while and I can see the future for this. It's very difficult for you to potentially predict what could happen with a company like this. So if you do want to diversify, I'd recommend looking at other stocks. I, of course, very like Tesla, Apple, Google, get the good guys, get the blue chips. If you do want to diversify, of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a stock advisor, not a financial advisor. So do what you want to do with your portfolio. We have then unprecedented capital inflow into Bitcoins. Removed 12,000 Bitcoin from Coinbase in an hour, so additional news from Coinbase. And we've seen what happens when Bitcoin basically floods off of exchanges. We see a strong rise in Bitcoin. This is due to a supply shock, right? There's not enough Bitcoin for people to buy. And the lower that Bitcoin goes, the more people have to throw money into the market and drive the price of Bitcoin up because there is not enough Bitcoin for everyone, and there never will be. Bitcoin is a deflationary currency, which is what will make Ethereum fantastic, as we'll talk about in a second, in the future when it becomes deflationary too. But for now, Bitcoin is our granddaddy that is increasing in value due to the supply shock. Now, this is also good from the side of the narrative, a good perspective from the side of Bitcoin is flowing out of exchanges where potentially to long-term storage, right? When we see outflow from exchanges, for example, with Ethereum, that could potentially mean that there's just movement shifting towards DEXs to decentralized exchanges, and not necessarily meaning that it's going to long-term storage to people's wallets where they're not going to sell it, because they could potentially still trade that Ethereum on DEXs within their wallets and so on. But when we see outflows of Bitcoin, the only place really to liquidate your Bitcoin or to trade it and convert it back into fiat and exit the market is through centralized exchanges or even OTC desks. So this narrative or this metric that is saying that Bitcoin is flowing out of exchanges is actually very, very bullish, because it means that people are storing this Bitcoin. They're looking to hold it long term. This could be institutions, this could be large or high net worth individuals that are purchasing Bitcoin and storing it and protecting their wealth, not necessarily people buying Ethereum to withdraw it and trade it on DEXs. So a very strong metric, a very good metric to look at. The data comes from hand in hand with on-chain indicators staying firmly bullish. Now, this is from Glassnode themselves. Over the past 6 months, a realized cap has surged a whopping $250 billion, an increase of 200%, a healthy bull market. So we have yet to experience true FOMO from institutions. It's coming. Timothy Kim from Glassnode. So we are still very early. We still have this institutional FOMO to come. We have seen a lot of hype in the market. We've seen a lot of retail hype, but institutional FOMO is where we're going to see massive, massive gains in the cryptocurrency market. And I believe when we do see these institutions FOMOing in is when we'll see massive moves from our top 10, top 20 cryptocurrencies, Cardano, Link, Litecoin, Uniswap, all of these guys, VeChain, Theta, Solana, these are all going to grow, especially layer 1 protocols, smart contract networks. These are all going to grow astronomically when we start seeing institutional FOMO, because that is where they will be looking. They won't be looking to shitcoins back down in the 200-300 mark. They will be looking to the top 10, top 20 cryptocurrencies. We also have some bullish news with regards to Ethereum as well. So the percent of supply that is locked in smart contracts versus Ethereum's percent balance on exchanges. So just as I said, it's good that Bitcoin is flowing off of exchanges as well as Ethereum flowing off of exchanges. But what happens to that if Ethereum is important as well? If it's just going to somebody's wallet for them to trade regularly with and potentially just make some additional money, throw it back onto an exchange and liquidate it, that is not necessarily good for the long-term outlook of cryptocurrency, because people are looking to make fiat from their gains. They're not looking to increase their cryptocurrency holdings. And that is a very important aspect to think about. Most people in this market, whether we like it or not, are here to increase their fiat gains. Sure, we all believe in the value of cryptocurrency. We see the long-term value and the long-term vision of cryptocurrency. But most people are getting into this market now because they see the insane gains in fiat terms. They see 1,000% returns on their USD, 1,000% returns on their euros. This is what people are here for. Until we start seeing this money being locked up and being locked up in smart contracts, being locked up in DeFi, and so on, with Bitcoin as well being locked up in ledgers and cold storage for long-term storage, that is the metric that we need to pay attention to for long-term growth of the cryptocurrency market. And we can see that with the percent of supply locked in smart contracts. We see the green line, which is Ethereum flowing out of exchanges. And where is it flowing to? It's getting locked into smart contracts. So almost double, from 11% to almost 20% locked up in smart contracts. This is a very, very bullish metric for both Ethereum, DeFi, and the cryptocurrency space as a whole. So I'm quite excited about that. We of course also have Uniswap V3 launching, or has launched already, and we've got some good stats from this as well. In the first day, V3 has already seen more than twice the volume that V2 saw in its first month. So this means that DEXs, decentralized exchanges, are the future. There's a lot of hype around decentralized exchanges, of course, because people are then in custody of their own funds again. They're using their own cryptocurrency, they own their crypto again. We all know not your keys, not your crypto. So storing your crypto on an exchange is not the best idea. Of course, at this point, it's relatively safe. We haven't seen that many hacks, or we have, but we've seen people's funds returned. There's insurance at this point, but it's always safer to hold your own crypto. You never know what can happen without it. It's an unregulated market. If you don't hold your own crypto, bad things can happen. So it's very good to see that we are seeing an increase in volume on decentralized exchanges. Potentially, we could see this increase even further. As you guys know, Uniswap V3 brings efficiency to liquidity providing. Liquidity providers are safer now, protected more against impermanent loss. They have to provide liquidity across a certain range of value. They don't have to provide liquidity across the entire value range of the cryptocurrency. So there's a lot of efficiency improvements with Uniswap v3. Of course, we don't have gas improvements yet. And in fact, the gas has actually increased for some trades on Uniswap v3, especially switching liquidity around with LP tokens, like LP liquidity tokens and so on, and LP NFTs. So we are seeing an increase in fees for now, and this will potentially stay this way until we have Optimism launching, which is due shortly after this. We did have a predicted timeline, but we don't have a predicted timeline at least. But we do see that in the near future, we could potentially see these layer 2 upgrades to Ethereum. And that's why I'm still so incredibly bullish on Ethereum as well, is with these L2 upgrades, Ethereum, with its network effect, sure, there'll be other blockchains that come in that compete with Ethereum and blast it out of the water in every single metric with efficiency, scalability, speed, and so on. Ethereum already has that network effect. People are already using it, building on it, and so on. So when we have these improvements come in, like scalability improvements and layer 2 protocols and layer 2 solutions coming on top of Ethereum and solving this fee issue, we are going to see very strong moves from Ethereum. Of course, we have EIP 1559 launching as well. And when that happens, we will see some of those fees burnt on Ethereum, making it a deflationary currency. So there's a very strong potential that we could see that $5,000 to $10,000, $20,000 Ethereum this year, which I've spoken about many, many times. Now, speaking about strong gains for Ethereum, we have Ethereum Classic gaining 300% in 1 week as traders rush to buy the wrong Ethereum. Now, I've spoken about this before as to how new traders, inexperienced investors come into the market and they don't actually know what they're getting into. And this just further shows that the hype is bigger than ever. People are rushing into the market and buying whatever they get their hands on. That is why we're seeing this huge growth in Doge. We're seeing a huge growth in Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classic basically has no real use case. It's the Ethereum that is broken. It's had many attacks. It's had many issues with it. So memes and other social triggers likewise seem to be driving progress in this week's round of breakouts, with ETC exploding in value without any noticeable changes. Now, this is very important. This is what I said earlier. Unless something is fundamentally changed, unless something is driving this growth other than hype, your potential downside is maximized so much, because there's nothing to sustain this growth. There's nothing to sustain this rise in price. So it's very important that you understand why you're getting into it. So others noticed that the investment in ETC in particular may not only be short-sighted, but dangerous. In its 4-year existence, blockchain has suffered multiple 51% attacks, pointing to a lack of security and resilience, which is absent from Bitcoin and the newer Ethereum. So people are looking to get exposure to Ethereum, and this kind of shows that it's actually very bullish for main Ethereum, our second big daddy up here at $406 billion. So there could potentially be an additional $17 billion that could flow into Ethereum when people start realizing that Ethereum is actually the main guy. This is what they should be investing in, and not in Ethereum Classic. So I think it's just a matter of time until those people become educated and it moves back into Ethereum. So Ethereum's still at $406 billion. I think this is at the very minimum a $1 trillion asset. Bitcoin, $5 to $10 trillion asset. So at the very minimum, Ethereum is still very, very small. But remember, there are much stronger gains out there to be made. The further down you go down this list, if something has a use case, if something is getting adopted, if something has hype around it, it's more than likely going to grow in value in terms of percentage gains more than Ethereum, more than Bitcoin, more than Doge, more than Cardano, all of these top 10 cryptocurrencies. The further down this list you go, the higher the potential is. But there's also the maximized potential for downside risk because they are less adopted. They do have potentially less growth around them. But in terms of major percentage gains, in terms of safety, look to your top 10 cryptocurrencies. Of course, we have Cardano, a channel favorite, Polkadot, Chainlink, VeChain, all channel favorites. These are the ones that I would be looking at if you're looking for a safe bet for this bull market to get into and see where they go if you want to maximize those gains and minimize the downside risk. Of course, please remember, guys, do not FOMO into huge pumps. If Ethereum Classic is pumping like this because people are mistaking it for the true additional or for the true Ethereum, following this hype because you think, sure, more people are going to FOMO into this because more people are going to get confused, more people are going to be buying Ethereum Classic, and you FOMO into it, you're going to get wrecked. Do not chase the sheep. Do not follow the trend. Think for yourself, make good decisions, and you'll make some very strong gains in this market. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on all of those bell notifications. I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.